Bases drop, last live show of the week. It is Thursdays with Niko on a Friday, and we will go through everything in Niko's mind, starting from the West Coast perspective of Major League Soccer. We've got the midweek match that Seattle was involved with, and the midweek matches that were taking place. We've got Chicharito with the metrics kicking in on his contract for the LAG. And we've got Friday night football coming up in just a little bit with Toronto FC and Inter Miami. I might even get into a little bit of the USMNT talk with Niko when it comes to everything on his mind, my mind. The second that he pops in, it'll be the fastest half hour looking at anything and everything going on in Major League Soccer. So, once again, looking quickly, I'm going to go through the juice boxes for Friday night football. We'll do that. And if I can remember, where's the website? You've only been dialing it up all week long. Once again, later today, getting into anything and everything going on. We've had activity in pretty much all the lower divisions in Middle East, North Africa, Eastern and Western Europe, working our way this way. Coming up at 6 o'clock, it is Liga Profesional de Football in Argentina with a doubleheader. Liga MX Femenil has 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock tonight. We've got Toronto FC Inter Miami. That's at 7:30. Juice boxes are at plus 108. Lines kind of shifted a little bit. It moved during soccer down here this morning. It started out about a 110, went to a plus 114, back down to about a plus 108. Inter Miami stayed in the plus 206 to plus 210 range. Your draw right now has stayed just below a plus 300, and so we're keeping an eye on that. You've got South America. You've got the primary divisions in Uruguay, Bolivia, Ecuador. Universidad Católica is on the road. They're a minus 127 at 8 o'clock. Liga MX has Puebla and Club America. Club America on the road is a plus 104 at Puebla. Puebla's a plus 2.25, basically. Your draw's a plus 270. And you've got Liga Profesional with Argentina at 8:30. Unión de Santa Fe and Newell's Old Boys. Unión de Santa Fe is a plus 116. Newell's is a plus 252. Your draw's a plus 2.25. Racing Club, huge favorite, facing Rosario Central tonight. Racing Club is a minus 152. Your draws a plus 267. Rosario Central is a plus 440. Primera A in Colombia, Independiente Medellin and Petrolera is going at it at 9 o'clock. Medellin is a minus 204. CPL is at 10 o'clock. Liga MX After Dark, Juarez and Pumas. Juarez is a minus 106. Your draw and Pumas are about the same right now at a plus 267 to plus 262. San Diego, North Carolina Courage, that's at 10 o'clock at a minus 103. For San Diego, your draws a plus 263. North Carolina Courage is a plus 225. USL Championship, and apparently there is a $5,000 cash grab opportunity at Cashman Field tonight. Vegas Lights are a plus 216. New Mexico United is a plus 108 in USL Championship After Dark. And I heard the magic sound in the green room, which means only one thing. It means I get to play a fancy intro for this dude right here. Beat 2, 3, 4. After the lightning strikes, I have to wait as he's wearing his Vegas Raiders. Now, can I say that that's a Vegas Raiders lid, or is that an Oakland Raiders lid?
That's Oakland, especially with the old logo.
All right.
I mean, we're still following Vegas, but I'm still not ready for the LV on top of the hat.
No, not at all. But it is now time for the fastest half hour in the West with Niko Moreno, El Rolo and W on the Twitters, our friend from Pulso Sports, man who's been very, very busy. And I guess let's just start with what happened in the midweek with Seattle and FC Cincinnati. Now that you've had a day or so to kind of look at it and look back at it, what's been some of your takeaways?
It's a lot of takeaways, but you're still kind of waiting on what's going to happen next. But just going into the game, I thought it was a gutsy performance by the Seattle Sounders. 8 starters missing against a very good attacking Cincinnati team. That trio of Acosta, Brenner, and Vasquez is, one of the best in MLS. In the first half, they only took 2 shots on goal. And along the entirety of the 90 minutes, I thought Seattle did a great job by holding them. So, quite honestly, you have to give credit to this team that got behind despite dominating the first 20, 25 minutes of this game. One mistake leads them to a goal, and they had the character, the personality, the grit to just dig down deep and get back into this game. They go down a man, it still doesn't matter. They're looking to score. They were not settling for the 1 point as nobody would expect them to, but they weren't playing it safe. They were gambling. They were going for it. Stefan Fry came out huge after Yemar Gomez Andrade in that back line with AB Sissoko, and Reagan did well. Albert Rusnak was, very active. Freddie Montero's banger was absolutely amazing for, the veteran, the legend, the walking icon that it is, Freddie Montero in this city. So I thought it was a very good game. Leaves them alive, but in ICU. So you're kind of just waiting to see what happens. You got all your velitas, as they say in Spanish, all your Virgin Marys and everything. They're all lit up around the house here in Seattle. But this team I thought it was a gutsy performance by the squad.
And just to get everybody's math all squared away where Seattle is, 2 matches to go. Everybody in the West has 2 matches to go. And the matches to go in the East are in the middle of next week. And you've got 4 teams that have that's a part of their DNA going forward. Everybody's got 2 matches to go. Seattle's at 40 points, 12 wins, 16 losses, which is also very uncharacteristic for a Seattle side. Mm-hmm. And Seattle's got to win out and hope that folks above them, translation RSL in Minnesota, have they spin their wheels, get stuck in the mud, and Seattle gets those big 4x4 tires, and they can find a way on that muddy road and work their way past and get it back on the interstate and work their way toward Rainier in the postseason. It's going to be a tall order, but you look at Minnesota. Minnesota right now is in that 7 spot, and even if we just focus there, Minnesota, losers of 4 of their last 5. They only have 1 point in their last 5 matches. RSL has lost 3 of 4. They only have 1 point in their last 4. So Seattle's got to shake it off, and they've got to get the W's on the board and take care of their own business and hope that Minnesota and RSL stumble.
Yeah, and I think both games are winnable. You got Sporting Kansas City. Yes, they're in great run of form. They got 6 games unbeaten, but in the pitch where it really matters, they are vulnerable, and they can be beat, and they are in a good moment, but by no means are they brilliant. They've taken advantage of some teams that are just beginning to struggle. And Minnesota is one of those teams that defensively just have not been the same. We've talked about the injuries that they've suffered and how dependent they are to certain players. So Seattle, with what they have, and the big question mark here is what group they're going to be able to put together, right? Everybody's back from international duty. So that's a good thing. Everyone is ready to play, but there is a question mark and very likely not to play, which is Raul Ruiz, always a component that you're missing on the field. He's your TNT. He makes you different. He's your eliteness up top. There hasn't been any official word as of yet, but basically everything I've been able to gather from both Brian Smetzer and sources close to Raul Ruiz and the team, it sounds like people are very optimistic that it is not serious. And perhaps if this team still has some sort of pulse by decision day that he could probably make that San Jose game. But for this one in particular, it's just going to be about setting the tempo, putting Kansas City on their back heels, controlling the midfield the way they can, and being very clinical in front of goal. So that's going to take a committee from Jordan Morris, Albert Rusnak, Nicolas Sodero. Everybody's going to have to really have a great game to just put it on Kansas City.
We'll get into cliffhanger in the second half of the segment coming up in just a little bit. And a couple of pieces of contract news that I wanted to get into you with. Since we'd mentioned Minnesota United, Bebelo Reynoso, another 3 years on the books for the Loons. What did you think when that news came out?
I mean, it's not surprising, man. Lock that boy up and never let him go. I mean, quite frankly, he is their absolute everything. He puts it all together. There's been inconsistency. There have been perhaps red flags, but all in all, his performance and the way he is eventually just adapted to the league, to the culture, to everything that the Loons have to offer, I think that it is a no-brainer. He's been, when healthy and when in his stuff, he's absolutely amazing. He's magical. He could change a game with a pass, with a shot. So, yeah, good for him. It looks like he's happy to be here. And he's one of those players that in the past, in a former MLS, I don't know if you would have been able to secure him just to bring him on initially, because he was a prospect and he's someone that was already turning a lot of heads, and we've been able to watch him play, develop, grow, and just continue to be great in MLS.
And the other one had to do with performance metrics, and all of a sudden we get performance metrics happening with LAG, and all of a sudden numbers get hit, and Chicharito says, "Yeah, my year got kicked back in because I hit this number and this number." So Chicharito comes back for LAG next season.
Yeah, it's good, and I think Chicharito would be happy to be here. And Javier Hernandez is someone that is heavily criticized by Spanish media, Latin media in general, but you have to realize that what he has done here in MLS, it's worth a lot. His commitment was at times questioned by Latin media. I think that's been answered. He's at every game. He tries extremely hard. He hasn't been incredibly injury prone. I mean, when we compare him to guys like Vela and others, I think that he's been reasonably healthy. And he wears that badge with pride. I mean, from really putting his heart and determination into derbies, whether it's El Tráfico or against San Jose. And I appreciate that from a player that can just get soaked up within the culture of a club. So I think he hits all the marks. I would expect him to be with LA Galaxy beyond that. So we'll see how that goes down. But I'm happy for him, and I think MLS has been good for him.
And as long as they can find ways to see that Costa and Cabral can perhaps file change of address kits with the post office and not have their mail get to Dignity Health Sports Park next season, I think that would help out as well. Before we get into cliffhanger, I wanted to get your thoughts on the international window and what we saw from a couple of national sides that are heading to the World Cup in Qatar. Obviously, I want to get your thoughts on El Tri and USA. I will leave the rest of that window up to you as to who else you want to address. But when you watched the United States, what did you think? When you watched El Tri, what did you think in this international window?
All right, well, let's start with the obvious part. What everybody wants to hear is U.S. men's national team talk. It just seems like a young team. That's the reality of this squad. There's a lot of lack of cohesion and a team that tries to be extremely fast with their movements and their passing, but it's not accurate. It's that there's a lot of will and want, but there's just not a lot of execution. And in terms of character, there was none. And you are going to absolutely need that if you want to win a couple of games at the World Cup. If there's something that teams like Paraguay have showed us in the past, is that Sometimes not even a lot of talent can be a difference maker, but la garra, the mean you talk about all the time, you got to have that. And there was just none of it. Maybe it was the necessity of having guys like Musa in the midfield, maybe Pulisic being a little bit more fiery. I'm not sure, but there needs to be a leader because it hasn't been Adams, it hasn't been McKennie. Both of them were average at best in both of these games. So that's one aspect of the game. And then the second aspect is defensively. Everybody's talking about the lack of goal and Ferreira missing some opportunities, yada, yada, yada. But defensively, that's where things have really fallen apart. Last week or last time we talked, we said that I was going to be looking for those headlines. How did Zimmerman and Long do? Atrocious. Long was not good in either game. Inability to get out of the back, just
Uh-oh, you got mute. You're muted. Uh-oh, something happened to the sound. Uh-oh. You're in the middle of a roll, and all of a sudden I lost the sound. Tell you what. All right, he's going to monkey with some levers here. Tell you what, back out and back. There we go. He's going to back out and come back in. We'll see what happens. He was on a roll, man, talking about U.S. men's national team. And so that was, and I want to talk to Niko about center back, and I want to talk to Niko about those pieces, and I want to see if Niko pulled out the lineup card, what he would do when it comes to the U.S. men's national team. I want to talk to him about Mexico, maybe Argentina. I know that he really wants to talk about some of the other South American sides as well. So I want to get his feedback before we get into Cliffhanger and go over the weekend that will be. And I know that a lot of you that listen and watch on Twitch, you want to get his thoughts on Atlanta United from the West Coast perspective. So we'll wait for Niko here to come up in just a little bit, and we'll get into Friday night football. We'll get into all of the other stuff. But, Niko's hitting all the talking points with your discussion at center back, striker, keeper, the guys who weren't there. And as a point that I made on another show earlier this morning, outside of that, everything's cool. All right. So let's once again bring Niko back into the hit me.
Am I coming in?
Yes, you are good.
You
were on a roll.
No idea what that was about. That might have been streaming. I'm at home, man. There's no excuses today.
Maybe Aaron Long wanted something to do with it, and Aaron Long hit the mute button.
I think so.
You were rolling on center back, so you were talking about center back. Go for it.
We've been hacked. Yes. I thought Matt Miazga might have been someone who has played well, has that European experience in some way. He's been part of national teams in the past. I thought maybe he's someone that they would get a look at. But at this point in time, the guys that you've seen, the guys that you've worked with, that's what you get. So McKenzie's probably the best guy that's going to go along Zimmerman if really Aaron Long kind of played himself out of that conversation of starting. And you can make the case, man. It just wasn't good. It wasn't clean. So a lot to work with for the United States, but it's not unexpected, John. This is the reality. This team is going to be a surprise candy egg at the World Cup. You're not going to know what you're going to get because there's a lot of talent. There is a lot of potential, but can Greg really put it together, and can the guys perform? Because it's not all on the coach. The coach picks the guys, but they have to perform. A guy like McKennie has a lot riding on this because he's the face. Him, Pulisic, Adams, those are the guys that have to go out here and represent what? A golden generation. And that's a big responsibility. Believe you me, there aren't many for when it comes to that first golden generations. Colombia's had a couple. I've been able to live through both of those. And those guys always carry a big weight on their shoulders. So it's going to be interesting how that plays out.
So other than the current situation at center back and goalkeeper and striker and the folks that weren't there, meaning Jedi, Musa, and Weah, you're saying everything is fine for the U.S.?
No. Well, that's a lot of bad stuff already, right? No, but I think it's not throw yourself down a cliff either. I see a lot of guys that are like, oh my God, we're going to not win any games. We're going to draw all this. I mean, no, I really do think that it's going to be a surprise. Like, it's really hard to really calibrate where this team is at. Are they a team that, did so great in specific moments of the CONCACAF qualifiers or some of the tournaments that were played? Or are they going to be a team that, like against Japan, couldn't get out of their own way? They couldn't get out of the back. They couldn't generate any possibilities. Nobody was getting into prime assisting positions. So I just think it's going to be really hard to tell. And it's going to be about Greg holding these guys accountable. And I'll repeat that again. They have to grow together as a team, because I didn't see that just now. I did not see that. And for all the people that don't think that that's part of it, look, talent's one thing, having a strategy, you got to be a good tactician, but really knowing how to rally a team up and putting it together, that's a big part of being a national team coach.
All right, so what else in the international window did you have your eye on?
Mexico's concerning. There is no two ways about it. I hate to say it, my wife, I'm going to be rooting for Mexico because my wife's Mexican, and unfortunately, and thanks to one Reynaldo Reda, Colombia's not in the World Cup. So it was hard to watch a little bit because the Peru-Mexico game was a snooze fest for the majority of it. And they won the game on a goal, and they kind of felt satisfied with it. But they're dealing with a Tata Martino that is very stuck in his ways, in a 4-3-3 formation that at times just leaves them very wide open. And there isn't those difference makers, those game changers in the midfield to run up that formation. And it's hard to say that for a Mexico team that's always kind of had someone in the midfield, El Principito or, Marquez, or, that leadership qualities in there. I like Orbelín Pineda. He's a guy that I think really stands out when he's on the field. Eric Gutierrez is someone else that's good, but none of them are really going to put the game on their shoulders. Alexis Vega was probably the best player out of the friendlies that I saw for Mexico. That 3-2 win by Colombia kind of told you all you need to know about Mexico. Colombia starts off with all the old guys, to be quite frank, and I'm still, you know what? I'm not even going to get too much into Colombia, but just it was hard to watch the players that I saw kind of get in there. Alzate is a very good player, but someone that's been not playing for several months, and you start him at midfield next to Barrios. So the fact that Mexico wasn't able to stand out against a Peru national team that is brand new, that has a new head coach in Juan Manuel Reynoso, and a Colombia team that with Lorenzo is also going into a whole new cycle. It's concerning. Colombia has a lot of talent, yes, and you saw the difference when Sinestera came in, and Carrascal, and Borré, and they just completely took Mexico by storm and just dominated them in the second half. But the conclusion here, guys, is that Mexico's gonna struggle. I really don't know. And once again, please don't play this for my wife. I don't know if they'll get out of the group stage. I just don't know.
And I trust me, I know the idea of making sure that you root for the proper teams, especially where the boss is concerned. You have to sit there and I am well aware of that gambit, sir. I know how that goes. Quickly, when it comes to, we'll go rapid fire the U.S. before we get into cliffhanger. In net, Matt Turner, Zach Steffen. I think that 3GB goes for Steffen because he's one of his guys. I think Matt Turner probably showed that he should be the number one.
I agree. If you had me pick right now, I think Matt Turner is more confident. He pronounces himself with more tenacity when it comes to going up for balls. Like the way he dominates that 18, I think it's great. And he showed me something with his feet too. So shot reaction and, diving opportunities. I mean, I just thought he He hit it all. And all I could think of is all the mistakes that I saw Zach Steffen make with this exact same team because he was not taking delivery decisions about when to come out. When he was just having problems just stopping a simple ball, not knowing when to slap it out rather than to just stop the ball. I mean, there are things that were really lacking from Zach, and that's why I do believe that it's going to be Zach Steffen at the end of the day, because, like you said, sometimes coaches just marry players, and it's pretty, kind of you get the idea that he's going to be that guy. But I think Matt Turner should be the one.
All right, striker, what do you do there? Because I think Jordan Pefok, by not being there, solidified his place by not being there.
Man, that's a tough one because for this specific format and what Greg is kind of putting together, you do need more of a mobile and you're connecting type of 9. So I still think Ferreira's the number 1. But I would like to see a guy like Josh Sargent get a shot at it. He's playing so well. He's a guy that can hold the ball well. And on the air, I think that you kind of need a little bit of that when it comes to being in a national team. And he does that very well. So if Niko had to make a choice, he'd probably be Josh Sargent. But I think it's going to be Ferreira at the end of the day.
Okay. And by the way, since you went third person, that's $1 in the jar. For dropping a third person reference on this show when you said if Niko chose.
Oh, all right.
That's a kangaroo court. That's a kangaroo court fine. That's $1 in the jar toward the end of the year party.
All right. I like it.
Cliffhanger. It's that time how we always wrap up the week, and we have Friday night football, by the way. And
it's a good one.
We start off with Toronto and Inter Miami. I went over the juice boxes when you were trying to dodge Aaron Long and his hack. Toronto FC at home is a plus 106. Your draw is a plus 296. Inter Miami is a plus 208. I looked at the total, and I liked going over under starting at about 4. Ooh. And 4 got you a plus 198. 4.5 got you a plus 257 in the composite. What do you think?
That's a tough one because usually I would go over on this one, but I think that you're going to have a more reserve Miami team. I think they're going to play it safe. They see themselves in a good spot. I think they like their schedule. And although Toronto is a team that can be really bad, they can also be very good, at least attacking wise. So if I had to put the juice boxes, I go with a tie. This is a game where I think a draw might happen. But when it comes down to the field, look, man, Pozuelo against Toronto, I mean, the stories write themselves. He's going to be on killer mode. Higuain has been working so well within this formation. We talked about what that midfield can do. So this is a team on the rise, and that things just continue to go their way, even when they don't deserve it, like the DC United game where the ball just stumbled upon for like a fast break. Mm-hmm. That's just sometimes the luck of the draw. And when you're in that type of mood, you're in that type of funk, things just go your way. But this is going to be a fun one regardless of, but it'll probably be a draw. I want to go 1-1 on this one.
Okay. I'll take the total, and I'll go wacky, crazy, absolutely bananas, nuts, over the total, and it wouldn't surprise me if Toronto won and it was like 7-goal craziness. Higuain with a brace, Bernadeschi with 1, Insigne with 2, and it just nuts. I think it's going to go absolutely crazy because you want to, if you're Bob Bradley and the guys that you brought in, it's your last home match of the year at BMO. You want to show up, you want to show out. I think it's going to go crazy. And, of course, that means it's probably going to be a goalless draw, so you're probably more correct. First match.
Did the sound go out again?
No, you're good.
Oh, okay, good.
No, you're good. First match on tomorrow afternoon, 1:30 in Foxborough, halfway between Providence and Boston. Atlanta United on the road. They're a dog going up against the Revs. The Revs really have nothing to play for. We've talked about them not being the same since Adam Buxa left. and not finding a replacement. They did find a replacement for Turner and Petrovic, but right now the Revs at 38 points. They've lost 3 in a row, and Atlanta United coming to town. Got to have it, really got to have it. What do you think happens here?
I really think that Atlanta's going to win this game by multiple goals. I think that it's going to be one of those games where everything just kind of comes together defensively, offensively. The guys are going to be just in dire needs for just a success story within everything that's been this season. And I think this is going to be it. It just all kind of falls together for me. A really bad team with really nothing to gain, and an Atlanta team that's coming from a couple of decent performances, or actually very good performances. If you talk about that Philadelphia draw, and I honestly believe that this is going to be a game where Atlanta's just going to run away with it. And I don't know if I'm going to be right or wrong, but I think that Thiago Almada, Jose Martinez, these guys are just going to come out blazing. Jose Martinez coming back from international duty where he scored. He's just feeling a whole different type of way. Pineda kind of, despite him knowing that he has the job next year, he wants to finish this year on a good note. And he's going to, in my opinion, just talk to these guys and say, hey, we're going to finish this year with some pride. Don't worry about whether we make the playoffs or not. Don't worry about points. We're going to win this next couple of games, and we'll let everything just fall together. So I really believe that Atlanta's going to dominate this game.
3:30 Eastern, Colorado hosting FC Dallas, so the Prairie Dogs are welcoming FCD to town. 5:30, Charlotte and Philadelphia. Intriguing because of Hurricane Ian, now a post-tropical depression storm kind of a thing. In addition to the 25,000 T-shirts, Charlotte is giving 25,000 rain ponchos to everybody.
Wow!
Because right now the rain might be fairly substantial during the match, and so Charlotte, with making sure that they're rolling out the teal carpet for their fans. You're going to get ponchos and T-shirts for the first 25,000, and it looks like also Christian Latanzio might be getting the interim tag taken off of his interim head coach title, and the business card looks like it's going to say head coach for the next 3 years.
Could you repeat that last part about it? You kind of broke up.
Now, Latanzio looks like he's going to get the gig for Charlotte for 3 years.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I was following Top 90 when they were kind of putting some stuff together. And, it makes sense, man. This Charlotte team surprised me, to be quite honest, because they did everything wrong. They cleaned it up, kind of, I don't know, pulled this guy out of their back pocket, and then it just kind of came together. You question everything they did. I don't remember a squad being able to just fail under DPs and fail under scouting and fail in the season and still kind of have a chance and be a team that's intriguing. I mean, Sadetsky's a guy that somebody's got to check his cleats. I think he has a magnet in him. It honestly, if the ball hits the bar, he's going to come back to his feet. He just finds the ball. So he's a really good player. They got guys like Corujo that, despite him being injured, there's just some real players in this squad, and they've been interesting to watch for sure. So I think it's the right call. Stick to the guy that's kind of making it all right, the guy that's making all these guys work, squeezing every lemon that you have to just make some sort of lemonade with it. So, yeah, stick with it for sure.
And Philadelphia is a road favorite in the juice boxes at a plus 144. Charlotte's a plus 174 at home. CF Montreal, DC United, yeah. Crew and Red Bulls at 7:30. Crew is a plus 125. Draws a plus 231. Red Bulls are a plus 217 as a road dog going to Columbus.
That's a tough one because I believe Cucho's out because of suspension.
Yep.
And he is the guy that's kind of made this team from, a regular latte to a vanilla latte. He gives them that little extra spice, a little extra flavor, and all their goals, man. He's the guy that can really put things together when it comes to giving Lucas Larian another guy. And Red Bulls is a team that's always going to be difficult to play. They're going to be, allowing you to hold the ball and do nothing with it. And then they're going to just strike you in a quick second. So I'm interested for this one because I have a lot of respect for Caleb Porter and how he can prepare and strategize for a game. So I want to see what he's going to do to accommodate not having Cucho, needing this game big time. So yeah, this is going to be one that I'm going to be watching.
And for me, all of those late game collapses for Columbus are always important for me. All those times that they've given up goals with 20 to go or less, I think it comes back to bite them in this one. I think it's the Red Bulls here on the road getting full points against Columbus. Cincinnati hosting Chicago Fire. Cincinnati's a big favorite. Minnesota on the road at San Jose. Earthquakes are a home favorite. Vancouver and Austin. Vancouver is a big home favorite. Austin on the road, a plus 190. San Jose, a plus 125. Starts MLS after dark, so I guess it makes sense. Your late game Saturday, LAG hosting RSL. LAG's a minus 145. RSL a plus 355.
Yeah, this is the kind of the game of the day, to be quite frankly, because it has all the components, right? Playoff implications, good soccer. Everybody's always wondering what type of galaxy we're going to really see. And this one might have a lot of goals, man, because if LAG is bad at something, is defending. And they allow a lot of goals. But they can also make them, right? So Ricky Puig has been so good for this team. Brugman, the Uruguayan, has been fantastic at midfield. So this is going to be a good one. And not because I'm a Sounders, guy that would like the Sounders to do well, but this is one that maybe if the LA Galaxy can put together and really just hammer down Real Salt Lake, it might be a good thing. But this RSL team, I'm surprised of how inconsistent they've been at the end of the season and how bad they've looked at times, but they have a lot of quality players. So this is going to be a decent one. I'm excited to see, but I think LA Galaxy is going to end up taking this one. They just feel like they're on a little bit of a groove, and they're really believing in the players, and Ricky just kind of gave this team a different look. And yeah, I think it's going to be all about LA Galaxy in this one.
Sunday starts interesting. NYC hosting Orlando City at Red Bull Arena.
Yeah, that's a good one.
1 o'clock. NYC's at a minus 122. Orlando City is a plus 324. And your draw's a plus 270.
This is the tough one because I think both teams come in Orlando more so in a disadvantage. The Storm has really changed everything about their preparation. They've missed, I think, 2 training sessions. Oscar Pereira has a guy that I'm sure is going to have these guys prepared. But whenever things kind of change on a group like that, it can be hard to kind of put it all together on game time. And New York City FC, they were on a high. They were looking really good, or at least at their best, especially with the showcase and how well they did there. But I think the FIFA break, kind of slows all that down. So you're kind of trying to figure out what team you're going to see from both of these squads. New York City after the break, and in Orlando City that's having to deal with all kinds of stuff. That said, I think Orlando is a team that I know that we talk about it all the time, but that their floor is really high, and they could be the ones that come up on top in this one.
Yeah, NYC just has not been the same since Ronnie Dyla and Tati Castellanos left. You haven't found replacements for either, and I know that Nick Cushing has done his best to try to stem the tide there on the touchline, but I just think that NYC, you give them another 5 games in this regular season, I think that NYC would have continued to go like this, and it would not have been pretty. I think
and Talis Magno has shown me some things. I mean, he's really starting to be able to make some of those runs that Castellanos did. He's a versatile player that can also play out wide and in the middle, and he has a lot of speed explosion, but he's just not as clinical. And sometimes you need that guy that Doesn't matter the moment, the minute in the game. He's going to put it away when you need to. And Tales is just a young kid, man. He's talented, but he's still very young.
All right, 3:00. Portland hosting LAFC at Providence Park. Portland a home dog at a plus 177. Draws a plus 275. LAFC is a plus 131.
That's a good one. I like it. You know who I think is going to win this game because of everything that I've been saying, and not just because I'm a hater, but I really do believe that this Timbers team has what it takes at the end of the season. What I've seen from them is that they have the ability to win in so many different ways, and they can adjust to the scoreboard or the way they're being attacked. The versatility and demand and commitment from every single one of those players shows in the games, man. And I'm talking about guys like Asprilla. I'm talking to guys like Williamson, Jimmy Chara, Diego. I mean, these guys just buy in on what Gio is selling, and that's key. That's so important. In this one, I think they're just going to be the grittier team against very soft and generic and artificial LAFC. So you're just going to see Timbers really come out on top in this one, and I would not be surprised if they win it by a couple of goals over LAFC.
So you are proposing that instead of the black and gold, LAFC should just wear brown, be like a brown paper bag. If they're going to be generic, just wear brown instead of black and gold.
I like it, man. That black don't fit them. You know, the black on teams is for those greedy, dangerous, just nasty teams, and they're nothing of that. They're like a caramel macchiato. You know, like you already know. It's just you can't look hard with a caramel macchiato. You can't look hard with that LAFC squad. You can't.
All right, Sporting in Seattle. What do you think is going to happen?
It's going to be a tough game. It might be boring. Seattle will try to take the lead on this one. They are going to try to be the protagonist. But I think it's going to be a 1-0 win for Seattle. It's going to be difficult, but I think they're going to put it away. They're going to be able to grind down. Kansas City would love to be the team that sticks it to the Sounders. And that's plain and simple. This team knows it. This group knows that if Peter Vermes is going to be talking about something and saying, hey, guys, this season is done and over with, but let's just forget about putting our reservations for Mexico and really zero down on this game. They're going to want to stick it to the Sounders, but I think Seattle's going to come on top on this one. They showed me that they still have fight. They showed me that they are continuing to be that team with resiliency against Cincinnati. And if they can hold Cincinnati to 1 goal, I think they can hold Kansas City to 0, and they'll win this one.
And then the last one on the board, Nashville, with a large number. They are hosting Houston at Geodis. Nashville's a minus 204. And that'll do for another round of Cliffhanger. What's going on with Niko and Pulso Sports and covering the Seattle Sounders?
Yeah, man. Well, this one is going to be interesting because it's kind of already done and over with. The guys are going to be flying out to Sporting Kansas City and things, but we are going to have a couple of interviews when they come back, all about Decision Day. I'm planning to have a 2-hour special for Decision Day, 1 hour English, 1 hour Spanish. So we're kind of working all that. It should be fun, interesting. A lot of faces that you guys know are on MLS, couple of players. So it should be fun.
Niko Moreno, El Rolo NW. What cup of coffee are you on, sir?
Number 3.
There it is. What's the mug?
Yeah, the 2 o'clock is my number 3. If it's a busy day, it's been a busy day.
All right. So as always, it's great to hang out Thursdays with Niko on a Friday this go around. We will catch up with you, sir, in 6 days' time as we get ready for the end of the regular season and Decision Day coming up in a couple weeks' time. Niko, my friend, as always, great to catch up. We will catch up with you next week.
I got you, man. I want credit when Atlanta really kills this game. Watch out.
No doubt about it. So since it is the end of the show, that means I get to do this.